Hi everyone, welcome back to SwitchUp. It's the weekly sales video that costs you, and it also costs me, some gold coins and a few new additions to my backlog. Check out the names in the top comment, they are the winners of the free game from last week's video. And if you'd like to be in with a chance of winning a free game for next week, make sure you're subscribed and leave a comment letting us know which game you most recently completed on Switch. You didn't see that one coming. Stick around to the end of the video where we'll go through a few games that you should avoid because they're awful. And I know most people really enjoy that section. So, what's on sale? Let's find out. First up then, and it's at its lowest point since launch, is Graveyard Keeper, which I've reviewed on the channel. It's a great game. Comparisons might be made to things like Stardew Valley, but actually it's quite different. Controlling and running your graveyard, gradually building it up, collecting dead bodies that arrive on your doorstep, and then undertaking autopsies on them before you either throw them in the river or bury them are all parts of the enjoyment you can have here. Yes, it's very grindy. It's the nature of these types of games, but you're looking at around about 45 hours of gameplay, and I believe there's been an expansion, a DLC for this since it launched. The Stranger Sins and the Breaking Dead, and both of those are also on sale at 50% off. This one has a file size of 793 megs. The sale goes on until the 13th of July. Then there's Sidney Hunter and the Curse of the Mayan. Now when they were developing this, and when I played this first, I thought, hang on, Curse of the Mayan? That doesn't sound right, it should be like Curse of the Maya. But that's all kind of part of the development process, and they decided to keep it in because, wow, it was funny? I don't know. It's an 8-bit action-adventure game that focuses on really brutal platforming and has a number of Maya-inspired bosses. You obviously play as Sidney Hunter, very much inspired by Indiana Jones, and if you're a fan of this retro style, you are gonna enjoy this one immensely. It's only £1.60, which is 80% off, and its new all-time lowest price ever. That sale ends on July the 18th, and the download size is 371 megs. If you're after a slightly macabre and unusual Zelda clone, then look no further than Anodyne, which I reviewed on this channel quite a while back. It's currently only 89p, which is 90% off until the 16th of July. And if you imagined Zelda crossed with Donnie Darko, you'd have an idea of the kind of atmosphere here. It's only around about 6 hours long and clocks in at 83 megabytes, and there is a sequel that's already out but hopefully is coming to the Nintendo Switch. And this strange world built inside a subconscious is full of puzzles and strange abstract environments, and it's just a good game, and I would highly recommend picking this up. This is nothing, is it? Add it to your backlog. I'm a big strategy fan, and I must admit the Switch is a place that is gradually, finally starting to have a few good strategy titles. Now XMorph Defense, the complete edition, is an action strategy game, and it's seen a number of drops since it launched. This is its lowest ever price drop. It's 80% off, taking it down to £5, which is a real bargain. If you're not interested in the complete edition that has the extras, you can actually get the original just XMorph Defense for £3. Now these go on until the 2nd of August, but this version includes the European Assault, Survival of the Fittest and Last Bastion DLCs. There's a tower defense element in here as well, so you place down turrets and towers, but also can go on the offensive using the spaceship that you pilot. If you can get into this one, I would suggest it at this very low price. This one clocks in at 1.5 gigs. With the launch of pubs reopening across the UK, there are certain games which remind me of times spent with friends, having a few beers and having a bit of a laugh. And this next title is well worth that. It's called Nippon Marathon. Now this game is ridiculous. If you imagine something like Takeshi's Castle, it's very similar to that. It was actually created by a guy who's, I don't believe was Japanese, but was inspired by Japanese culture and just absolutely loved it. Now, it's got an awful Metacritic rating of 44, but I promise you, it's fun. It's just a fun and bizarre game. There's a full-on storyline here as well, where you play as a main character who's constantly been mistaken as a unicorn, but politely informs everyone she is a narwhal. There isn't much you can really say about the game. Look at it, it's ridiculous. There are a number of mini-games to play alongside the campaign, and you can unlock and buy new characters. But this is fun, right? This is what games were made for. If you've got a few people to play with, I highly recommend and apologise for Nippon Marathon. Yes, I'm glad this next one's finally on sale. It's Hell Warders. Now, I originally reviewed it a while back and it had some serious performance issues, but most recently I went back to it and it's running at 60 FPS for the vast majority of the gameplay, and it is much more of an enjoyable experience. Now, it's never going to be an oil painting, but the general premise of the title sees you and either up to 3 other friends online battling minions that gradually attack, and you have to put down troops to defend different areas. At the start of a round, you'll pick the different troop types that you want, but if your strategy is weak and your action game skills are strong, then you can still do quite well here in a team. You'll have special attacks you can use, and the enemies get gradually stronger and stronger, and there are also boss enemies that enter the area. This is a really fun game, and unfortunately they launched it just in bad conditions, so it's seen quite a few price drops, but this is the lowest it's ever been. It's 60% off, and I believe that's in all regions. It clocks in at 2.1 gigs, and as I said, that sale goes on till the 20th of July. This one's only just come out actually, and it's a lot better than I thought it was going to be. It's called Urban Flow. It's 25% off until July 17th, or July the 17th for those people that panic that I'm getting Americanized. And it's a game about controlling traffic lights to try and get everything running in harmony, but it's obviously not that easy. A little bit like the game Conduct Together, which we looked at last week. It's got over 100 different levels, and your job, as mentioned, is simple. Just operate the traffic lights and keep everyone safe. It won't work out that way, but it's very good. And there's also a drop in and drop out co-op mode as well for 2, 3 or 4 of you. If you're not interested in those or the campaign, there is an endless mode and a chill mode, and it clocks in at 3.1 gigs and may pique your interest. The US has a Nicalis sale at the moment, so it would be remiss of me not to mention some of those. There are games like Redout, Blade Strangers, Remilore, all of them really good games and well worth picking up. They're 75% off at the moment, but the top dog, the Big Daddy, hasn't got quite as big a sale. It's only 25% off, and that's The Binding of Isaac Afterbirth Plus. This is a game that I've spent more than 600 hours playing through, and it's an absolute classic. But for me, I wouldn't buy that one just now because that's not the lowest it's ever been on sale. Remilore is a very good title, well worth looking at, but actually the racer Redout, especially since it's seen a few patches since launch, would probably be my pick for today. It's a ridiculously fast racing game that has anti-gravity racing cars and has obviously taken influence from some of the cult classics of the past. It has 2 to 6 player online, but it doesn't have any local multiplayer, and it's a 3.6 gigabyte download. Anyone that's watched the channel for more than 5 minutes will know that I am absolutely not a fan of horror games. They're just... no, they're terrifying. However, it has to be said that Welcome to Hanwell is an excellent example of the horror genre, and it's currently the cheapest it's ever been at 60% off, taking it down to around about $6. The town of Hanwell was once a safe haven from the horrors of the world, but is now a cesspit, very much similar to the world of Silent Hill. It's the first person perspective, and there's something about that in horror that makes it so scary. I've played quite a chunk of this one actually, and I managed to do that, which is a testament in itself, because I was enjoying it so much. If you're looking for a new horror pickup, then I would suggest Welcome to Hanwell, and that sale ends on the 17th. Last but certainly not least, and one that was recommended on Twitter, and I've played a little bit of it, but I've played a bit more since that recommendation, is Valhalla, cyberpunk bartender action. Now, weirdly, we saw a few bartender-inspired games. There was, what is it, the Red Strings Club, I believe, from Devolver Digital. Oh, I can't say Oh man, I can't say it today. Digital. Wow. And that was really interesting. It had a nice story and was a top-notch game. Enjoyed that. But this one, Valhalla, I just didn't get round to playing until now. So you're a bartender at the Valhalla, a small bar in Glitchtown that attracts all kinds of strange individuals. It's your job to keep your clients well lubricated. And then they'll give you their tales and their stories. There's a branching storyline to work your way through, and it's the drinks that you decide to make which affect that. This sale goes on until the 9th of July, so you haven't got a great deal of time, and it's 565 megs. Okay, so now it's that time that we all love. It's 2 games that you should avoid, like the wandering touch of a stranger on public transport. And first up we have Zombie Driver Immortal Edition, which has consistently dropped month on month so that it's now 80% off. And while it's not the worst game in the world, let me tell you, it is just dull. It's just so generic, formulaic. There's nothing about the design structure which is particularly interesting or engaging for the player. And even at $3, I think there are better options out there, unfortunately. Now, the game's controlled, and it looked to me like old school GTA, and I thought this is going to be great, but you're controlling that car from a top down, but it's very small encapsulated missions that just weren't particularly fun for me. You could do a lot worse, but for me, this is an avoid. And then there's Cluster Truck. I reviewed this a long time ago and I hated it. The main reason I hated it on the Switch was that the controls just don't translate well to a Joy-Con or, well, whatever controller you've got. They're really designed to have that quick movement using the mouse and then a keyboard. But in all honesty, it just didn't click with me, this one at all. I like the premise of these types of games, but the implementation of it, I just didn't find very fun. Cluster Truck for me was a bit more of a cluster. Moving swiftly on. Now, in hindsight, I really wish I'd mentioned The World Ends With You, the final remix, which is also 50% off until the 19th of July. This is a really strong game from Square Enix, which isn't the longest, around about 16 hours, and follows the actions of Neku as he wakes up in the middle of a busy intersection without any of his memories, with the goal of completing the mission or facing erasure. This definitive edition is a bit of an RPG classic and has an exclusive 2-player mode, as well as some bits of new music. It's a really good game, this one, and one that potentially has slipped under the radar. So having said I haven't mentioned it, I've just mentioned it. Yeah. Your physical pickup bargain of the week has to go to Ni no Kuni, which can be had at 41% off on Amazon and is an outstanding game with an incredible storyboard created by the legendary Studio Ghibli and music from Joe Hisaishi. That's all we've got time for this week. Let me know down in the comments which of these you'll be picking up. Remember, to win a free game next week, you just need to subscribe to the channel and tell me which game you've most recently completed on the Nintendo Switch and maybe how you found it. For all things Switch all the time, keep it Switch up. Cheers guys. See ya!